You know that feeling when things just feel a bit chaotic
hmm
and you're searching for something solid, something reliable?
hmm That sense of needing stability.
Exactly. Well, today we're going to dig into a really old story, but one that surprisingly speaks right to that feeling about finding peace inside and out and, strengthening our faith.
It really does.
Hmm.
We're looking at 2 Chronicles chapter 14 in the Bible,
Right.
specifically the time of King Asa in Judah.
Right.
And what's fascinating is how the stuff he dealt with and the way he handled it actually offers some, well, pretty relevant insights for us now.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is basically to pull out those key lessons from this historical account. What did Asa actually do? What happened because of it?
Yeah.
And maybe most importantly, how can we use those ideas ourselves, to find a bit more peace and build up our own faith today?
Sounds like a plan. Where do we start?
Well, the story kicks off by saying Asa, he made a real point of doing what was good and right in the eyes of the Lord.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a vague idea. The text gets specific. He actively went about removing foreign altars, these things called high places.
Which were sites for worshiping other gods, right?
Exactly. He broke down idols, cut down sacred groves. It was a very focused, deliberate effort to get the kingdom spiritually back on track.
And the result, pretty immediate, actually.
Yeah, the text says the land had peace for 10 years.
10 years. And it directly links it, saying, the Lord had given him rest. It really draws that line between his actions and the stability that followed.
But here's what's interesting. What he did during that peace, he didn't just, kick back.
He used the time proactively.
Right. He started building, fortifying cities, putting up walls, towers, gates, bars,
Yeah.
the whole defensive setup.
That's such a powerful point, isn't it? Using the calm times to prepare to strengthen your foundations.
Definitely. And his reasoning was explicit. He
Yeah.
basically said, we sought God, and because we sought him, he gave us this rest, this peace on all sides.
So, because they were focused spiritually, they gained the security and the space to build physically.
And it also mentions he built up his army during this time too, from Judah and Benjamin, describes them as mighty men of valor. So spiritual and practical preparation.
Okay, so things are peaceful, they're prepared. Then what?
Well, then the narrative shifts. A huge challenge appears. Zerah the Ethiopian shows up with this enormous army.
Enormous is right. The text says 1,000 soldiers plus 300 chariots. That's overwhelming.
Absolutely. A real test of those preparations.
But Asa's reaction is key here, I think. He goes out to face them, yes, but the first thing mentioned isn't his military strategy.
It's his prayer. He cries out to God.
And it's quite a prayer, really lays it bare.
It is. He says something like, Lord, it makes no difference to you whether you help the powerful or the powerless.
Right.
Help us, Lord our God, because we are relying on you, and in your name we are facing this crowd. Lord, you are our God. Don't let mere mortals prevail against you.
Wow. That line, it makes no difference to you whether you help the powerful or the powerless. That really shows his complete reliance on God, not on his own army's size or strength.
Total humility and trust. Even facing, well, impossible odds, seemingly.
So he prays this prayer of dependence, and then...
Then the text says, quite simply, so the Lord smote the Ethiopians before Asa and before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled.
Just like that, the victory is directly credited to God's intervention.
And it wasn't a small victory. They chased the retreating army all the way to a place called Gerar.
Right, and it says the Ethiopians were so badly beaten they couldn't recover. They were destroyed before the Lord and before his host. It really emphasizes the scale of it.
Yeah, complete turnaround.
Yeah.
And there were tangible results, too. Asa's people captured a huge amount of spoil wealth, goods from the Ethiopians and nearby towns.
And it mentions the fear of the Lord fell on those cities. Plus, they returned to Jerusalem with tons of livestock. A very clear victory.
Absolutely. So you have this whole sequence: faithfulness, peace, preparation, crisis, prayer, deliverance.
Okay, so let's bridge this to now. We've got this powerful ancient story. How does it actually connect with us, living our lives today? How can it, strengthen our faith?
Well, one clear principle is that trying to live with integrity, doing what you believe is right, can genuinely foster peace. Maybe not on a kingdom-wide scale for us.
All right, maybe more like inner peace or peace in our families, our teams, our communities.
Exactly. That commitment to sort of spiritual alignment can create more stable, positive environments around us, just like Asa's leadership did.
And that idea of preparing during peace resonates strongly, I think. It's not just about building walls.
No, not at all. For us, it could be building emotional resilience, maybe through mindfulness or spiritual practices, or strengthening relationships when things are calm.
Or even financial preparation, developing skills, being
Yeah.
proactive rather than reactive, building those inner fortifications before the storm hits.
That's a great way to put it.
Yep.
And when the storms do come, Asa's prayer is a model, isn't it?
Yeah, that humility, acknowledging we don't have all the answers or all the strength.
And turning to God, trusting in something bigger than the immediate problem, it's about aligning our hearts, seeking that divine guidance and strength.
It also makes you think about those foreign altars and idols Asa removed. What are the equivalents in our lives today?
Good question. What distracts us? Pulls us away from our core value, from our faith. Could be, endless scrolling, unhealthy attachments, maybe chasing status or stuff that doesn't truly satisfy.
Identifying those things and consciously choosing to reduce their influence, that could create space for deeper peace and focus, right? Like clearing out the clutter.
Definitely. It allows for a clearer connection to what really matters, to our faith. So ultimately, Asa's story seems to show a pattern, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Like commitment leading to peace, using that peace to prepare. And then in crisis, faith and reliance being met with, well, a powerful response.
It demonstrates God's faithfulness, his willingness to act when we turn to him, try to follow his ways, and trust him, even when things look impossible. That overwhelming army was no match in the end.
So the takeaways seem pretty clear. Living with integrity matters for peace. Preparing in good times is wise, and prayerful reliance on God in tough times is powerful. These aren't just dusty old rules. They feel incredibly relevant for navigating modern life and can genuinely strengthen our faith.
Which leads us to a final thought, really, for you listening. How can you take these ancient principles from King Asa's time and actively apply them in your own life right now? How can you cultivate more peace and deepen that reliance on your faith, especially with all the pressures we face today?
And maybe think about, what are those idols, those distractions in your own world that might need addressing so you can focus more fully on what strengthens your spirit and your connection to God? Something to reflect on.